Currently printing out a new shift knob design that I made when I was bored this morning. But we'll crack that open later in this video to see what it looks like.
Hi guys, Redneck Computer Geek here. Welcome to our new backdrop that we kind of threw together in order to be able to do videos of this nature. I want to make it clear right now, this is not turning into a 3D printer channel. I've had a lot of people worried about it. That's not what we're turning into. What we're turning into is a cost of plastic parts for small engine repair is absolute BS. That's what we're turning into. This is an intake, which is probably a bad example because these are pretty reasonably priced. But this is an intake that costs about $25 to $35. This is a replacement for this intake that uses this 38 millimeter foam adapter pod that I can buy the pod and I can make this adapter to replace this intake for a grand total of $3. $30? $3. Now, I'm not saying this is the most customer service, whatever type thing, but it is my goal to start making intakes that can be 3D printed at home that would be more of an industrial standard type design. Like, I don't know if you've priced out the cost of a Kohler twin intake, but literally the plastic intakes, the Kohler setup that likes to catch fire, is twice the cost of a Ford Ranger plastic intake. And before you start getting into it about plastics and engines and stuff like that, literally polypropylene intakes and PETG intakes have been used by Volkswagen for over 20 years now. And Ford has been using nylon intakes for going on about 24 years now. And both of those are printable with a 3D printer at this point. As it is right now, PETG intakes like these that I've been working on, this is a more refined version, which is for a GX390. PETG is chemical resistant. It is easy to manipulate. If you can manage to print something in PLA plastic, this one here still has its standoffs. We'll break these off in a little bit in order to see the inside of that shift knob I designed. But if you can manage to go and print it in PLA really quick and cheap, then you can slow down the printer and you can print it in PETG. And that's my point. My point is I'm sick of the insane markup costs that are being charged on small engine guys. This right here. This is a Go Power Sports intake adapter for a VM22 carburetor to a Duramax, small Duramax, or a Honda, or a little Predator from Harbor Freight. Go Power Sports charges $25 for that. Even the Chinesium knockoffs are $15. I can print the same size intake in about an hour and a half on a 3D printer out of PETG that is just as strong for a grand total of 50 cents. We have got to stop this. We have got to get ahead of this. We have got to stop dealing with all of this absolute insanity. Knobs. This is a 1/4-inch knob that I made in order to fit on a single-cylinder Briggs & Stratton. They wanted $5 for this. It took me a half an hour to design it, and it prints off in less than 25 minutes for a grand total of 8 cents worth of plastic and a Tractor Supply nut that's glued in. That's it. Like, gas pedals. A lot of us have been using these as gas pedals. Why? because the Speedway pedals that we all used to use have gone from being $35 to like $50, and the Mr. Gasket pedals have gone from being like $45 to like $70. And so what we do is we buy these and we sleeve them and we use them as gas pedals in the off-road mud mower community. So what I made was this. It clicks on, gives you a Brap gas pedal. It prints in about an hour and 30 minutes. You just epoxy it in place and you have a gas pedal. Grand total, these things, about 11 bucks. This right here prints off with about 28 cents worth of plastic, and you're up and running, going brap brap. I mean, Skull shift knobs. The average Skull shift knob on Amazon sells for $20. That is 24 cents worth of plastic. I designed it myself, made it in Tinkercad, free program. Onshaper, onshape.com, free. Designed it. Onshape.com, bolt-on Vanguard twin cylinder intake using a standard 4-inch $3.50 filter. And that started off because I went to buy one of these Spectra whatevers. This thing with filter retails on average in AutoZone for about $25 to $28. Designed my own, direct bolt up, prints out entirely in roughly about 7 hours. Grand total cost in order to print about $1.50 worth of plastic, and having to put some 1/4-inch rod in it. And look, there's my knob that they wanted $4 for. Here we are at the end of our testing print, and it's doing pretty good. So if we come over here, one thing I noticed was that it actually dropped down in wattage on what it was taking once it got up a few layers. So for most of the last 45 minutes, it's actually only been at about 105 to 120 watts, which means in theory, basically, this machine is pulling the equivalent. Well, you could run 10 of these machines at the equivalent of one singular space heater. So they're not really pulling that much when you really think about it. Here's a couple of prints. There we go. That was a request from a friend for some sort of event or something, so I think he might be getting out of his job. I'm not quite sure. But anyways, back to the rest of the video. Printed a cap in order to go on this, because you can't buy the replacement cap. They won't sell it to you. They only sell the entire thing. So when your cap is like mine and it's rusted out, rotting out and everything, you have to buy a brand spanking new one. Cap. Again, about 20 cents worth of plastic. Prints in about an hour. And that's my point with this. My point is, I'm going to start an account. I've been using Cults 3D at this point in order to post. Like, first edition versions, I will probably post to download and be able to print the STLs for like $1 or so. Cults 3D charges like a 20% housing cost or whatever in order to sell. So most of my prints are posted at $1.20, so that way I make $1 off of you downloading it. But here's the thing. Once you download one, you can print it infinite numbers of times. You can take this and you can import it into Tinkercad. Like, you could take this and you could import it into Tinkercad. You could flat face this. You could make it say whatever you want for a logo. You could do all of that stuff. And that's all this is. All that logoing, that's just Tinkercad, done for free. Totally downloadable. Any kid can do it. John's actually got an account right now, and he does it. Prints stuff right out. Alright, let's look at the new shift knob I designed. So I didn't like this one. So I think this looks neat. I'm excited, so I'm shaking, because this is cool. Also, this gives me something to do when it's stupidly dumb outside. Like, wait a minute, I'll break this open in a sec, but I wanted to show you this. I don't know how many of you had massive allergies when you were a kid and might be old enough in order to remember Benadryl rings. I had a Benadryl ring when I was a little kid because we couldn't afford other stuff. So they used to sell these little Benadryl rings. So the top of it pops off. And the inside was big enough to go and fit your medication, your Benadryl. So that when you went on a class field trip, you went on whatever, you had your Benadryl with you while you were out hiking, while you were out doing whatever. And these things got ruined by the drug market. Like, these things became a thing in videos about that included drugs and stuff, and so they got pulled off the market. So somebody found one, 3D scanned it in, and now I can print a Benadryl ring from back when I was like 9 years old. And that's part of the 3D printer market, is the fact that, like, I can print out tags like these. And these are just made in Tinkercad. My whole point on these is being able to put information. Being able to make these, print out like the belt size for custom rigs, information that I need that I don't want to go and accidentally spray paint over the top of. Or if I do spray paint over the top of it, it'll still be readable. Unlike all the stupid stickers that are on everything nowadays. The moment you spray paint over one of those, all the information is gone. But anyways, let's break this open. So these are called supports, these things. And you're going to end up running into those with some 3D printing, because you're going to need supports in order to support overhangs. Like the back side of this guy's hat is an overhang. So we'll pull that off. And you're really supposed to pop these supports off when this thing is warm directly off the printer if you can. This one has been sitting here and therefore has not been cleared up yet. And so, oh, there we go. There. There we are. So I still got to remove a little bit of extra support stuff that's going on. But that's my new design that I was working on the other night for the dragsters. Yeah. So, see if we can break that support out of there. There we go. And so that's a 14mm hole. And this was all done in Tinkercad for free. This skull I downloaded off of a website, and I just scaled it up in order to make it fit with this 3D scan helmet. This is a German helmet from World War II, I believe. And this is from a 3D scan file for a history site in order to be able to print out remakes. So I took this and I scaled it down so that it would fit on the skull. Whoop, there we go. And that right there was because on Amazon I saw something similar and they wanted $35 for it. I refuse. I'm done. I'm just going to start 3D printing stuff. I'm going to post up files. Some editions I'm going to post up for free and you guys can manipulate them. You can do things you want with them, stuff like that. Yeah, it is what it is. I hope you guys are along for the journey here and don't mind the fact that every once in a while I'm going to pop in that I designed something for an engine we're working on or something. But literally, the cost of one Kohler intake is almost the cost of an entry-level Ender 3 printer. Just buying an Ender 3 and printing one Kohler intake would pay for the cost of it. Like, these adapters, these 38 millimeter adapters that I am printing out now and starting to pass out to some friends, they make these. They pretty much only seem to sell in China and some other places. But these, in plastic, printed out from China, retail for $12 a piece. And that's not including the shipping. And of course, you can print out rings. This is one that I downloaded that I use for beta testing and dialing in the printer and stuff. I mean, I even printed out a little Vice file that I found because I wanted to be able to have this go together and drill that out so that I can put Honda jets into there and not end up marring up the threads and stuff. Oh, that's another one. The plate pieces, the printable, the plate pieces that go on vices. Harbor Freight charges like $12 a set. You can download and print off about 10 different versions at about 30 cents worth of plastic a set. Like, I'm just done. The 3D printer thing, I'm on board with. I'm going to be doing stuff in order to try and help the community. And we're just going to run with it. And hopefully you guys are supportive. If you're not, well, too bad. Welcome to my life. But seriously, I'm doing this to save myself buku. And hopefully to save you guys buku too. Like, shift knobs alone. Just in the number of shift knobs that I have printed off, I have saved myself $120. Just in shift knobs. I have printed off and used 6 of these now. That is $4 times 6. That's $24 I have saved myself. And I've owned this printer for a little bit over a month at this point. The world is changing. 3D printers are going to be smart to get into for small engine repair. Another example. I had a friend who was trying to go and find the filter cover for an older chainsaw. He bought a filter cover for that older chainsaw, and sure enough, it had lines on it. He paid $38 for that filter cover with lines on it because it was 3D printed. $38 for a filter cover. The small engine world is changing. The real reality is a lot of the world is out to kill the small engine world. We either adapt to this, we start coming up with at-home repairs that are viable for this plastic situation, or we might as well start buying up battery stock because that's the only thing being supported at this point in many places. Small engines are considered throwaway items at this point, and the service industry, the repair industry for them, it's not dying, but it definitely is on notice if we don't get on board with starting to do our own plastic repairs. So thank you very much for watching this video. I apologize for how long it is, But I'm very passionate about this, and I will be posting up stuff that is related to it. Briggs & Stratton single-cylinder intake manifold adapters. Stock replacement intake manifold stuff I intend to start working on. The Kohler intake manifold stuff I intend to start trying to figure out and work on. I will be trying to get a hold of an Ender 3. Ender 3s have really become pretty much the hobbyist standard across most of the industry at this point. So my current printer is bigger format than an Ender 3. So I will be trying to get into one of those in order to print something more in the entry-level printer size. Otherwise than that, thank you guys, and have fun.